see if this works. All right, it worked. Yay. So here's an example of the login screen. So this might look familiar to all you World of Warcraft players. And even though that StarCraft 2 is clearly not an MMO, but we really felt like, you know what, why don't we connect you into the service the moment you start playing StarCraft 2? So you put in your Battle.net account, and then you'll be actually logged into the service from the very beginning. So this is kind of what the flow is going to look like. So you log into the game, and then this is going to be approximately kind of like what your first screen is going to look like. So you can kind of see right from the beginning, it already looks like you're in an online service. So you can see that you're going to be able to have access to like single player, multiplayer. We have this concept of these large widgets, like the campaign widget, which you can see. And then also on the right-hand side, you can see this concept of news, which looks a little bit like the World of Warcraft launcher, or might look a little bit like a website. So, you know, right away, even before you've played your first game, you're already connected into the larger community. And we really felt, again, you know, it's like we really are an online world these days. Like, is there anybody in this room that actually plays offline without being connected to the internet at all? So does that mean that you actually cannot connect to the internet on your computer? All the time? So college kids don't connect to the internet? Well, good to know for the, what was that, for the 5 people that just shouted, you'll be able to play as a guest in offline mode. All right, so let's continue. So if I'd press the single player button, you'll be able to see this is kind of an example of what the screen might look like. So you'll have campaign is kind of that largest screen, so we kind of assume that new players are going to want to play the campaign first. And then you also be able to play skirmish games, and then we have this new concept called challenges. And challenges are just these kind of really fun single-player maps that are kind of going to teach advanced multiplayer mechanics, and they're also something you can kind of try over and over again and improve your time and improve your score and then be able to compare with your friends. So, and then to show you that also something else you get when you're able to be connected within, you know, if you connect right away, is that even when you're playing a single player game of StarCraft 2, you'll be able to access your friends list like this screenshot here. So even when you're just playing the campaign, any of your friends that are online, you'll be able to see when they're online, they'll be able to talk to you and everything else, which I really feel, again, is a huge value add for people that previously would have to log on into the multiplayer part of Battle.net, tell their friends where they were, and then go back and play campaign and, you know, be sight unseen again. So obviously we're going to have replays. So this is kind of an example of what the replay screen is going to look like. We're going to add a lot more features to replays. Like one of the features that we're adding, which people might want, is a rewind feature. They said it couldn't be done, but we found a way. All right. And then we also are going to obviously have profiles. So when you have a character, there's going to be all kinds of information about like achievements, your statistics, your match history, and the kind of the intent we have of the profiles. We want the profile to be useful for you as the player, but we also want it to be really interesting for other players to be able to browse you, and you can share it with your friends, and people can kind of see the matches you've done, be able to do achievement compares, all those sorts of things too. And obviously, we're going to have an achievement system. So we're going to have full achievements within Star 2. It's going to be hopefully even a better system than World of Warcraft, because, you know, I feel like the World of Warcraft system was great, but, you know, in Blizzard fashion, we've learned a lot from it, and we're going to try to improve upon that within StarCraft 2. So you'll be able to get achievements in the game, and then this is just an example of what the in-game interface looks for it. And, you know, just like in World of Warcraft, when your friends get achievements, you'll get a toast that pops up, so you know when your friends are getting achievements, so you can always, you know, give them, you know, a little bit of competition. And the most important thing is that the achievements is going to be how you get kind of the icon system for War 3, but we've kind of amped it up quite a bit. So we kind of have this concept of avatars and decals. And based on different achievements that you earn within the game, we'll unlock different avatars that then you can use to display as yourself on the service. But the really cool addition on top of the avatars is this concept of decals. So each of the races will have a whole set of decals that you'll be able to unlock through the achievement system. And where these decals show up is actually on the units themselves. So there'll be like all kinds of things you can unlock and all kinds of things you can kind of display to your friends. And it's also a system that obviously as we kind of continue the game, we can add more and more of these things over time. All right, so the first thing I talk about is the party system. So the party system is something that's been around in a couple other games. Most notably, obviously, we have a party system in World of Warcraft, and even though that game's a role-playing game, we didn't feel like there was any reason why we couldn't bring that over to Star 2. So it kind of works the same way as you would see in World of Warcraft. So you can invite somebody to your party. In this case, I'm being invited to a party. And if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, now you can see all my party members. So now we're in a party, and the big advantage of being in a party is we can talk with each other very easily. And the other thing is that we automatically go into games together. So whoever the party leader is, they can select whatever game that we're going to play. In this case, we're selected the 2v2 option. I can select my race, and then we go into the game together, and then when the game's over, we also come back into the service together also. So we can just play as this persistent party and play as many games we want to play until the party breaks up. So this would be an example of once the game starts, waiting for other players, and then load into the game itself. All right, so here's some screens. This is an example of what might happen once you've played in the service for like 10-ish games. It might be a little bit longer than that. You get placed in the league, so there's an example of that where I got selected to be put into the 1v1 Gold League. And now I'm going to talk a little about custom games. So I talked a little bit earlier about one of the problems we felt in Warcraft 3 was the custom game list was kind of this mishmash. You know, you'd see a whole bunch of Dota games, and probably most of those Dota games said things like, "No noobs, please." And it was like, that was the entirety of the game list. And if you wanted to find an interesting game, or the game you wanted to play, you really couldn't do it. So this is the example of how this list would look. So if you look at the very top, there's the example of Dota All-Stars. So all the different Dota games would be consolidated into that one line under just the name of the map itself. So you're really searching for the type, the map, the game type, or things like that. And if you look at the top, there's also kind of a filter by genre. So you can even like subdivide further and actually filter it even more. So this is an example of that. So under this one, I actually selected co-op skirmish. So now it filters it entirely, and even Dota itself went away since that's not considered a co-op skirmish map. And then this is an example of how you create a custom game. You know, very similar again, very straightforward, very easy to do. One of the things that we added, which is kind of cool, is kind of this, one of the things you can do now is you can create a custom game, and then when you go into the game lobby, you can actually have the game lobby be private, and then invite all your friends, get the teams configured how you want, and then if you notice, like right above my name, there's that button that says open to public, and once you punch that button, what it does is now it broadcasts the game to the game list. So you don't have to kind of do that thing you did in the past where you have to jump in the game, kick a bunch of players, wait till your friends get in, try to coordinate. You know, just go ahead, go into the private game lobby, then invite all your friends, then you can go ahead and publish the game to the game list and get the rest of the players into the game. So this is an example. I already showed you the friends list within the game, but this is an example of what's going to look like when you're just kind of within the glue screens within the UI. And the chat's a little bit different than we did in the past. We've decided to switch the chat system over to more an instant messenger style chat. So it's a lot easier for you to organize. It's a lot easier to have conversations with one person or multiple people. Because if you think back to like Warcraft 3, or even WoW for that matter, it can actually be kind of challenging to try to hold different conversations. You know, like, I don't know, I'll probably use a WoW example, might even be more relevant to the crowd, but if you're hanging out in Stormwind and you have all the different public chat channels up and you're also trying to, you know, keep 3 different whispers together and talk to your party and talk to your guild, it's pretty hard to do that. You're like constantly like, you know, using a little scroll bar and going up and down and trying to figure out what's going on. So we felt like, well, what if we go to more of an IM style chat and allows you to kind of